Hello all, and a very warm welcome to the webinar by Jade Global and our client Backcountry. My name is Payal Mathur, Director of Marketing Jade Global, and I will be your moderator today. Today's topic is how a retail giant Backcountry moved beyond BI and saved cost dramatically with cloud solution Looker. This webinar is getting recorded. All attendee phone lines are on mute. If you have questions, please type them into the question box and click send, and we'll be taking during the Q&A session at the end. I would like to introduce our speakers now. Prasad Govikar, Director of Engineering Data at Backcountry. Prasad has been in data analytics and management for about 2 decades now. He has experience working with large enterprises such as Macy's, Rodin Plus Fields, Walmart, and Caterpillar. Welcome, Prasad.
Thank you, Payal.
Our second speaker is Raja Shekhar, Senior Vice President, Global CRM and Analytics at Jade Global. Raja started his career 22 years back. He has been with Jade for over 15 years now and has been an integral part of Jade's growth. Raja has experience working at some large organizations such as VMware, GE, Motorola, and TCS. Welcome, Raja.
Thank you, Payal. Glad to be here.
So our agenda for today, we'll start with introducing both the companies, followed by Backcountry's goals and objectives, the solution they adopted and their journey with Cloud BI, and finally the results they achieved from this transition. At the end, we'll have the Q&A session. So without further ado, I will pass on the mic to Raja Shekhar to get this webinar started.
Thank you, Payal, and welcome everybody one more time. So during this webinar, we are going to talk about successful implementation of a platform modernization initiative at Backcountry. Before that, I'll give a quick background about Jade Global. About Jade Global, we are IT services company. In addition to data analytics services, we also offer ERP, CRM, integration, ADM, QA, ITSM, and managed services. Our company was founded in the year 2003 with the main focus to provide premium capabilities for a mid and upper mid-market clients. Our main go-to-market approach is to align with leading ISVs such as Oracle, Google, Microsoft, Salesforce, etc., to create solutions which can scale for our clients. We have about 1,600 employees with our headquarters in San Jose, California, and 6 additional offices in North America, 3 in India, and we also have presence in Singapore, UK, and Austria. So with this, I'll invite Prasad to talk about Backcountry and walk us through the success story of their platform migration journey. Prasad?
Thank you, Raja. Backcountry.com. We are an online specialty retailer that sells clothing and outdoor recreation gear for hiking, camping, road biking, mountain biking, rock climbing, winter sports, fly fishing, kayaking, rafting, road and trail running. You get the picture. You'll find the highest performance outdoor gear and clothing, as well as expert level gear knowledge with us. We also started expanding into retail stores. We have 4 more brands within our umbrella. Competitive Cyclists is the premier source for pro caliber cycling gear and clothing. Motorsport.com is our brother in arms when it comes to throttle powered gear. Bergfreunde is the premier online resource for high-end outdoor gear and clothing in Europe. Headquartered in Germany, Bergfreunde delivers only the highest end outdoor gear and clothing. Bergfreunde was acquired by Backcountry.com in 2013, and it continues to serve outdoor enthusiasts in Germany and throughout Europe. Last but not the least, Steep and Cheap always has the deepest deals on outdoor gear. Our headquarters are in Park City, Utah, and we were founded in 1996. Thank you, Pat. A look at Backcountry's goals and objectives. As we look towards the future, we at Backcountry are committed to making the right investments in the technology space and especially around data. We envision data being formulated as a product offering rather than being limited to data being provisioned as a service. Traditionally, legacy data platforms lack the speed, the flexibility, or the scalability to deliver faster insights. We were constrained by physical infrastructure limitations, siloed operations, and sometimes just the sheer inability to evolve. Our data engineering teams were brute forcing their way to keeping things operational with our legacy system. And our focus was being diluted to keep the lights on. We were spending way too much time to keep up with daily enhancements, some of which are easily found today with the cloud capabilities. We realized that a modern data platform would harness the power of cloud computing to deliver data availability, scalability, and usability. And it allows us to take advantage of modern data processing tools. And that helps us answer the most pressing questions that are there for our business. So we were looking for an effective data solution which would cover the life cycle from the data source all the way to actionable insights. One of the bigger objectives of this migration effort was also to empower our business partners with more analytical capabilities. But we also wanted to ensure that the switch to the modern data platform doesn't interrupt business. Business continuity was absolutely crucial. Hence, we always look to aim for a seamless transition. Having said that, this wasn't always easy, with multiple questions of differences between legacy and the new systems that were operating in parallel, and the various discussions that came up around those. But all credit to the teams, both technical and business, who always work closely together in the true spirit of cooperation to ensure forward progress always. Over to you, Raja. Our BI landscape, this snapshot covers our data journey through a 50,000-foot overview. If you look at the bottom of the screen, it shows our legacy setup where we worked with Talent to load the data to the Oracle data warehouse, and OBIE was our reporting tool of choice. To the left, we have the vast array of data sources that we needed to ingest the data from. The data engineering pipelines are a combination of Python code, Airflow, and Fivetran that help manage our data ingestion processes. The color-coded scheme that you see is actually a representation of the questions that we started with and the ones that we ultimately resolved throughout the course of the project. So all the yellow or the red concerns were definitely addressed over a period of time. We envisioned our data lake to be housed on BigQuery and Looker. And these were the, Looker was basically the tool of choice for all of reporting and visualization. So besides scalability and usability, we also looked at ease of use, version control, and maintenance for the data engineering teams as we went about finalizing our tool stack. We're also further expanding our repertoire on the predictive analytics side. At this point, we are very invested in the Google stack. So we're also looking towards Vertex AI augmentation as well. We also invested in the data monitoring platform in the form of Monte Carlo to help enhance our data observability and monitoring aspects. This helps us with our overall vision of guaranteeing data availability, data quality, and data accuracy. Also, for our CDP, we selected Amperity, which not only has a best-in-class identity resolution process, but it also has the ability to provision customized content, which can be displayed dynamically in real time to drive conversion. Next slide, please. From a solutioning perspective, most organizations today are faced with a plethora of information. The sheer mass of data that needs to be collected and analyzed is gradually becoming the biggest challenge of them all. And I'm sure this is something that a lot of this audience can relate to. As data stewards and stakeholders, it's important for us to envision how we can turn this information into action. How can we enable our business partners to make data-driven decisions, not only in the spirit of what's right for the company, but also in terms of working towards the best possible experience for our customers. In our case, the decision was to move to the GCP stack, primarily using BigQuery as our data lake and Looker as the reporting visualization tool. So for context, Looker is a Google acquisition, and it has the same level of service that you would expect from any Google offering. Modernizing this data ecosystem wasn't easy. It involved crafting a comprehensive data strategy, introducing fresh processes, and implementing new tools. Coming to our journey details, because of the enormity of the task at hand, we brought in Jade Global Services as a delivery partner to work with the Backcountry data team. We also engage with our business partners first and foremost from the get-go to ensure that we aren't building in a silo, but that we're looking to satisfy business requirements first and foremost. The data engineering team focused on the hundreds of data ingestion pipelines that needed to be built, that needed to be migrated basically from EDW to GCP. We identified sources of data that need to be collected. Once we confirmed that we have everything, basically everything that EDW has today, and we worked hard to ensure that nothing falls to the cracks. We focused on efficient design and architecture concepts to build robust data engineering pipelines. We also made efficient use of the GCP stack to build robust data structures, which were meant for efficient retrieval. So the technical teams worked hand in glove with the business partners on all the consolidation efforts. There was continuous engagement and guidance from the business teams. Just to give this audience some context, we had thousands of reports on the OBIE server. These teams, our teams basically work together on identifying what reports are important, what adds value, what are the changes needed, and how best could we drive towards a self-serve platform. Eventually, we ended up with a fraction of the report numbers from before, but what we ended up building was also robust self-serve capabilities for our business. There was also a specific phase where the teams worked together on what we call the showstoppers, features that Looker doesn't necessarily provide out of the box, but were absolutely critical for our business decision making. The reporting project in itself was delivered in multiple phases, and there were pauses between phases, which allowed us to take learnings from one phase and apply them to the subsequent phases. We had the backing and the support of the executive team at Backcountry to embark on this journey. Our business leadership was equally supportive. So there was always this buy-in from all our stakeholders. And this migration support, and there was this realization that this migration effort is an important milestone in our data maturity journey.
Thanks, Prasad. And I think probably some of you might have realized I got disconnected thanks to new COVID world. Internet connection is still not very stable, but thanks for keep going. I have a couple of questions which probably I've missed to ask in the previous slides you might cover. So I'll start with some of them. So while being in a journey, it is crucial to go through multiple steps, and the approach you have taken are mostly the lift and shift approach. But how critical was the rationalization before you initiate the lift and shift approach was critical for the successful outcome of your initiative? I assume that there was about 30 to 40% of the overall scope rationalization happened right before we initiate the journey, especially on the content migration aspect.
Yeah, I think, Raja, that's an important aspect of this entire project. I mean, this effort is actually a combination of lift and shift and some process re-engineering. So we had to pull the timelines in, considering this is almost a multi-year migration effort. We wanted to build solutions that work best for our business. So if our design catered towards lift and shift, that's the approach that we went with. But we spent a fair bit of time actually listening to the needs of the business. And that's what helped define our strategy around what actually becomes a lift and shift approach and what requires a little bit of process engineering, building new processes or new pipelines or new reporting and visualization mechanism so that we meet the needs of the business. So to put that in a nutshell, it's actually a combination of both aspects, lift and shift and a little bit of process engineering on the side as well.
Yeah, sounds great, Prasad. Also, while we were talking about the objectives of the initiative, many of the clients we have who are taking the platform migration or modernization initiatives have very similar set of objectives, right? But you being the highly online or e-commerce oriented business, I'm sure data is going to be a very crucial aspect of your business operations. So can you elaborate about any of the other business objectives which you had when you were taking this journey in terms of how you wanted to look at the data from the strategic angle, especially from the C-suite of people, how they consider this from their strategic viewpoint?
Sure, Raja. And that's another important aspect that affected our design and our architecture as well. I mean, as you know, global events have shaped the cycles of customer spending and impacted them in many different ways. And again, this is not something which is specific to Backcountry, but the retail industry as a whole could leverage data in many different ways today. Data can help you determine in advance what your customers will most probably purchase. It could help you improve supply chain management, thereby minimizing the cost of stockouts. It could help you reduce the cost of marketing through targeted recommendations and promotions. It could help you decide how to tighten your assortment for any economic downturns or any changes in spend pattern. Since there is so much data, you can leverage the effective use of predictive analytics. You can know how to strategize on what you want to sell, knowing what are the best products to go for. And you can also take the learnings for the product lines that aren't doing so well, and you can maybe consider them in a fresh perspective.
Yeah, that sounds great. On another angle, which you probably have covered in the previous slide about architectural considerations, when you decided the technology stack which you choose to go with. So there are so many options out there, which are especially the best of breed approaches. So can you talk about what were the key rationale or what kind of due diligence you had undergone to choose the stack which you did choose ultimately, which is around Google and Fivetran and so on. So that would be good. That'd be good for our audience to understand as well.
Sure, Raja. I think the one thing that we did in particular was we conducted multiple different POCs, and we always wanted to determine the best fit for our own use cases. We wanted this to be a very custom solution for our issues, to solve our business problems and to get our business partners the right insights that they need. So having the right tools with the right features at the right cost with the right level of partnership. I mean, that was the cornerstone of our evaluation process. So, which is why you see us landing on tools that we eventually did go with. So we have Fivetran, which helps with our ingestion processes. You have Monte Carlo, which helps with data observability. We are basically on the GCP stack with BigQuery and Looker being our cornerstones there. We're also looking to augment, Vertex AI pretty soon. So I mean, all of this was shaped by our own specific needs and the due diligence exercises that we carried around it.
Yeah, thanks. And that really talks about it is not like generic solution which will fit for every use case. So it needs to be highly localized to what really you need. And we actually perform that. So that's a good insight. So that's a good takeaway as well for a lot of us learning through this exercise. Thanks, Prasad.
Of course.
So thank you, Prasad and Raja. I'm sure a lot of attendees, resonate with the challenges and the goals that Backcountry has, and facing the same issues every day when it comes to data analytics. On that note, we'll launch our first poll. Raja, as you dropped, we did not launch the poll before. So I'm launching my first poll here. This is a multiple choice. So please, you can just choose as many as applicable to your business. We'll give about 30 more seconds to all the attendees to put their choices in here. I will request all the attendees to please attend the poll. Few more seconds. If you can please attend the poll, all of you. Thank you. We are closing the poll now and sharing the results.
Yeah, thanks, Payal, and thank you for all of you to participate in this poll. So this is, if you see the pattern, it is pretty much all the challenges are applicable for pretty much all the attendees here, and that's a true reflection of how the industry is undergoing, especially in the data initiatives as well. So there are a lot of companies who are in the legacy. There are also companies who are intuitive, who have analytics tool, but they're not really as intuitive. And also there's a lot of longer lead time for implementation of new capabilities. And there are some cases where there are performance challenges as well. And it'll be interesting to know what the other issues as well. But these are completely resonating with what happened, especially in some of the other accounts. And I'm sure Prasad may give his take on the backcountry aspect as well.
Oh, absolutely, Raja. I think this is pretty much in, has existing threads with, what we had on our legacy stack. I think the legacy on-premise solution not scaling was one of our bigger issues, and which is why we decided to go in for this journey. We have a similar synergy with the other points, especially the longer lead time for implementing newer capabilities. And I think that's something that we have much improved SLAs with our newer platform. So I'm totally in sync with what's come up on the screen right now.
Thank you. I'm removing the poll from here. We'll go back to the presentation.
Thank you, Payal. As you see, like from a results perspective, yes, we looked at increased scalability and the ability to make faster decisions. We wanted to empower our business partners and reduce reliance on the technology teams so that they are able to do a lot of this. They are able to provision their needs through the self-serve capabilities that Looker, which sits at atop BQ, can provide. The other thing to put into perspective was the new shiny object of the modern data platform was not the only intended outcome, but rather for us, it was the variety of business use cases we can now support, the value points that we bring, and the shift to becoming a data-driven organization. That was really the cornerstone of this project. Now, throughout this project, the teams banded together to resolve multiple issues, and we are confident that BigQuery Looker platform is now our single source of truth for both after the fact reporting and visualization, and also the forward-looking machine learning, AI, predictive analytical capabilities that we are building currently. Also, with our platform now settling and our bandwidth now opening up, we can now focus on eliminating any performance concerns that are there, and we are currently doubling down on our predictive capabilities.
Thanks, Prasad. And I think these are some of the results which some other clients have also achieved during their journey of platform modernization. Now, considering that data is pretty much now the center of many digital transformation initiatives across many companies, where the data-driven decisions to manage different aspects of the business, be it talent management, be it demand management, be it pricing, innovation, procurement, and even some extreme business swings. It can only happen when the business is self-sufficient with most of the data needs. Using this toolkit, there's always a greater capability now visible to the client. So clearly, these are great results, but I'm sure these are not easy to achieve. Can you talk about some challenges you faced, especially with examples if possible, to deliver these kind of results?
Sure, absolutely, Raja. I mean, any migration effort that spans for multiple years, it will definitely come up with its own set of challenges. Again, like I think I have to put this here that we are fortunate to to working with such a close knit set of stakeholders, from our business partners to the Jade delivery teams to our Google partners and the Backcountry data team. So we had it easy going for most of the part, but there were definitely some situations that kind of come to mind. Some of them are pertinent around what we call our showstoppers phase or looker tool limitations. While we ensured we took care that we chose the right tool stack for our journey ahead, there are some out of the box facilities that OBIE might provide, which might not necessarily replicate across to lookers on a one-on-one basis. An example like that would be, there's no straightforward function that is currently available in Looker for period rolling analysis. But the solve for this solution is something that can be implemented at the LookML layer. What it means for the business is there'll be some overhead time when such reports need to be created and some code changes need to be performed by the engineers. But that is when the partnership, the partnership aspect between technology and the business comes into the fore. Another example that I can think of is the time filtering parameters limitations. So the dynamic time filtering in Looker works only for the normal calendar, works a little bit differently for the fiscal calendar. So there are filters that need to be pushed down to the LookML layer. 4548 tools will be the workaround to achieve some of the dynamic time filtering functionalities. And that's what our engineers worked on. They worked in partnership with the business to build solutions that are kind of custom made for us. So these are, at the top of my head, these are two things that I can think about here.
Sure, thank you, Prasad. I'm sure there are a lot of attendees who are, aiming at similar results, and it just makes it all worth it. The challenges that you said, if you can get such results out of a cloud BI solution. So on this note, I will launch our next poll of the day. This is also a multiple choice, and it is, what are your key initiatives? So please fill in your choices. We'll give all the attendees around 30 seconds to just fill in your choices. I will request all of you to please pitch in your answers. Thank you. I will request all the attendees to please take the poll. We'll wait for a few more seconds. Thank you for taking the poll. We are closing the poll now, and I'll be sharing the results. So Prasad, what do you think? Does it resonate with Backcountry, or does it look very different?
Oh, I think it's nice to see that building self-serve analytical capabilities is kind of top of the stack here. Of course, enterprise dashboarding and reporting are equally important facets. So this is, I think, a reflection of our journey as well, where obviously data strategy development, platform modernization, they're all important aspects. But I think I love the fact that the self-serve analytical capabilities is kind of topping the bowl here.
Correct. I agree. I mean, strangely, I mean, platform modernization is just 11%, right?
I think that kind of goes hand in hand with some of the other options that are chosen. One of the ways to drive self-serve analytical capabilities or ensure that your enterprise dashboard are reporting are like right at the top. One of the more effective ways to do that is modernizing the platform, I would think. So I think they are all tied together in more ways than one.
Correct. Makes sense. So I'll be adding the poll now and we'll go back to the slides. Thank you.
Thank you, Payal. For the key takeaways, as you can see, and I think this is something that Raj and I alluded to a little bit briefly, in the earlier part of the presentation about the multiple POCs that we ran to determine what was the best fit for our own use cases. We wanted to ensure that the tools that we are going with are something that not only works for us for the current scenario, but they're able to help and scale us up for our future predictive needs as well. We also ensured that we spend a fair bit of time ensuring that the chosen architecture is resilient. Like in terms of platform evaluation, we wanted to double down on the fact that this not only supports our current use cases, it scales up for all our future needs. So we build it once and we build it right, and it can be as resilient and as fault tolerant as possible. The next point is probably my most favorite takeaway of them all. As I've spoken through the course of the presentation, my business stakeholders were equal partners in this effort, and their participation and engagement helped refine our strategies for the better. A point that I would like to make for all the technical leaders in this audience, the ROI for a migration initiative like this is measured usually by effective tool adoption and usage, and it's measured on the basis of how we enable the business to make data-driven decisions. While resilient and fault-tolerant architecture and designs are definitely important, equally important is that they actually address the business needs. Moving on to the Agile implementation tile, the team adopted Agile principles on this migration project. The key was always to deliver the MVP first, and we deliver the business value in incremental phases. All this while partnering with the business to define our priorities correctly and increase tool adoption at the same time. Migration projects involve multiple production systems being live at the same time. Ours was no exception. So it's important to have an effective change management process in place to ensure that there is a seamless cutover without any business impact. To sum it all up, it takes a village, or as we say at Backcountry, it takes a herd to bring this all together. So in this aspect, we had terrific partnership from the Jade Global team throughout this journey. Sure, we faced our pick of obstacles, but we overcame them together. And a very special call out to my Google partners here. They worked with us on various issues. We ensured we had all the support that was needed. And whenever we ran into issues or wanted to put in new product or feature requests, they were right there with us. So I think that kind of summarizes the takeaways from this migration project for me.
Thanks, Prasad. And I kind of agree with all the takeaways which are mentioned here. And clearly, all the companies can benefit from the platform journey like this. And your examples were super helpful. So with this, back to Payal for Q&A.
Thank you, Prasad and Raja. And it was a very insightful session, and I'm sure our audiences have learned a lot about how Looker BI can help them and how Backcountry has gone through this journey and succeeded in doing it. Before we start our Q&A session, if you are looking for a one-on-one session with our Cloud BI experts, please reach out to us on info@jadeglobal.com, or you can simply put your names in the chat, and we'll be happy to schedule a call for you with our experts. Thank you. So I have a few questions here for both of you. The first question is, what kind of challenges did you see when compared to Looker and OBIEE, and how did you overcome those gaps?
Yeah, Prasad, you want to take first?
Sure, I can take that one. I think we, again, spoke about this very briefly previously, but some features get deprecated when we go with newer tools because there are so many newer capabilities that are added, and there are better ways of doing things. So there are some features that might get deprecated in the newer tool sets that were available out of the box on our previous legacy stack. But again, as from a technology perspective, it is our responsibility to make sure that the business still has utility of those functions, of those features that were available to them previously. So I think we ran into the same set of issues, but like the period rolling example or the time filtering example. But we worked through to create solutions that address those issues, and it wasn't that big a lift. Yes, there's definitely some involvement from the technology team that is required, but there's, compared to the features that were deprecated, there's so many other features that we got into place. There were so many newer features and additions that are now available on the newer tool stack, and we supported what we lost in terms of deprecation by building them custom made.
So shall we go to our next question, Raja?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this one is an interesting one. This is for you, Prasad. With the current infrastructure at Backcountry, do you have real-time or near real-time capabilities for decision making?
Yes. For near real-time basis, absolutely. We have the current infrastructure that's available. Our platform is stabilized, so we definitely have those capabilities. So we moved from batch to cyclic batch to near real-time, and we are looking at real-time ingestion capabilities as well, and cascading those inferences in real-time. So those are all those are all efforts that are part of our current journey, and they all work towards the maturity of our data platform. The tool set that we have chosen provides us these capabilities. So if there is something that we don't have currently, we can definitely work on it.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Prasad. So that's the end of the Q&A. Thank you for all your questions. We have come to the end of this webinar. Thank you everyone for your presence. And as I said, if you're looking for any Cloud BI expert session one-on-one with us, please reach out to us after the webinar on info@jadeglobal.com. So that's the end of it. Thank you, Raja and Prasad, for your time. And all of you, have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Payal. Raja. Thank you, everyone.